I've gotten some comments that asked me to kind of benchmark and compare my systems. I have an old laptop, well, relatively old RTX 3050 in here, and I have a server right off to the side that has an RTX 3060, 12 gigabyte VRAM, 4 gigabytes VRAM. And yeah, let's test it out. Like most AI benchmarks nowadays are just the square standard 512 by 512 easy tests on big GPUs. I've seen people test with like two 4060s. I don't think that's realistic. I don't have two 4060s. Like, who has that type of stuff, right? So same workflow, same prompt, no cherry picking was my idea. Didn't work out like that, but I'll tell you more on that later. It's my laptop here. I literally stopped every application I could, every background process, put it flat and on top of a book. So try to get as much heat dispersion as possible and like get the best quality I can. This is like set on the ultimate settings, everything as fast as it could. I wanted to record part of it using OBS, stopped, because even the CPU I used all of it. So no, nothing ran on this, just the AI. Now on the other side is my server. RTX 3060, 12 gigabyte plus a Xeon CPU and 32 gigabyte RAM. So it's a big step up from the laptop, right? We have the workflow down below for you to see the settings and to see what I used. There's pretty much two workflows. One is just normal 4+4 steps, CFG1, using the lighting LoRa to make Wan2.2 usable. You want to use the LoRa. It doesn't make any sense not to use it. It's quite good quality. I don't see any issue with it. If you do want me to test the other way around, like if you want me to test just using like 30, 40 steps, let me know. Okay, so I wanted to use two formats, 464 and 672. But even the lowest quantization on the laptop, it just gives me OM. OM, OM, OM. So I had to do a comparative test at the end again, lowering everything. Now we're at 25 frames and 528 by 1088. Now this is because the first results just pushed it too far. The 49 frames do not work. It just isn't viable on 4 gigabyte of VRAM. On the 3060 it ran just fine. Anywhere between 520 seconds to 580 seconds, it did just fine. Now I lowered it to 25 frames for the comparative test. You don't want to lower it too much, right? You have 16 frames per second, and that's about 2 seconds then. And if you do it lower than 2 seconds, it cannot really make motion. Like Wan2.2 definitely needs a few frames to create good motion. So I wanted to test again that actually creates usable results, right? And while pushing it too far, I also decided to change some workflow settings for the laptop so I don't hit an OM every single time. I loaded the clip in the CPU so it wouldn't need more VRAM. I used coefficients, T-cage at first, but actually stopped because with the LoRa you have 2 steps, so you cannot really even use T-cage. But I torch compiled the model before, all to reduce overhead. Now there's a few settings to make it better for the laptop. You can have these settings on the server as well. It just lowers the quality a little bit, so you don't need to if you don't want to, right? Okay, the results are in. Now I'm gonna have this conclusion in 2 parts. First, we're just gonna look at the general settings, how long everything took, how good everything worked. And on the second one, we just compare the images. I'm gonna take my phone, I'm gonna compare some of the images we created in quality, consistency, etc. So, let's start. GPU VRAM capacity is the biggest bottleneck. 4 gigabytes of VRAM is really low for AI stuff. It failed so many times. The whole first test was a fail. If you look at the results, it couldn't even create on Q2K a low quantization 464 1024 pixels, 49 frames. Wasn't able to do it at all. So, reduced settings make low VRAM usable, barely. Yes, by lowering the settings below 480p, 25 frames, you can get it to run. However, the 3050 is still 2 times slower than the 3060. So, think about that. The conclusion on that is with Q2K and reduced frames, full-body cards can run Wan2.2, but with big trade-offs in speed and sometimes quality. More on that later. Quantization trade-offs. Q6K, higher quality, but simply impossible on 4 GB of VRAM. You need a size, you need a GGUF that's the size of your VRAM, so it can load in completely. I'm not sure how big the Q6K is, but I'll put it right here. It's definitely larger than 4 gigabytes. Now, Q2K, lighter and workable, especially for the laptop, quality difference is visible in fine details, hair smoothness, motion, and consistency. Q2K is the only realistic choice for low VRAM, but it comes with reduced fidelity. Now, 12 gigabytes of VRAM, you can definitely balance the quality, the speed, and the stability. It works, it's fast, and it looks good. 4 gigabyte, you're forced to compromise a lot. Lower frame counts, lower quantization, slower runs. So especially in AI where you kind of want to like change things and compare things constantly and make things better, it's really difficult because you're going to wait hours on each run, and then, you know, you have to change things because they don't come out right. The final big picture takeaway. For 12 GB GPUs, Wan2.2 is usable even at higher res and frame counts. For 4 GB GPUs, Wan2.2 is barely usable. You need a low quantization, reduced frame counts, and optimizations. The laptop and the server. The laptop takes about 2.5 times more than the server. But the quality, to me at least, seems exactly the same. I mean, like I said, I have the files, you can download them, but I don't see a difference in quality at all. It uses the same prompt, the same workflow, except that the workflow for the laptop uses things like Sage Attention and Torch compiling to make it a little more stable and faster. But I'm genuinely happy that these things didn't affect the quality very much, at least. Not that I know. That's pretty good. So, you have my conclusion on this already. Now, let's take a look at the quantization comparison, because I want to compare the Q6K to Q2K, lower and higher quantizations. And I'm very surprised, actually. I'm surprised at that the lower VRAM using lower quantization is actually not faster. Or no, it's not faster at all, especially for like small frames, it's not. That's surprising to me. I mean, the quantization is mostly about VRAM usage, not speed, but I always thought, you know, a simpler model would also develop faster, right? And on the quality, I did notice with the LoRa, there's less drop in quality. Like, I don't see much difference, and the size is quite different on Q6 and Q2, but the quality, I would say that Q2K is just a little less sharp, but it is overall fine. So I feel like if you want to do testing or something, just use like even Q1K and it would be totally fine. Interesting. Wan2.2 tested on RTX 3060 and RTX 3050. Same prompt, same settings. You've seen the speed, the quality, and the trade-offs. Now I want to hear from you. Would you improve the methodology I used somehow? Do you guys know any scripts that will actually automate this kind of testing? Because I tried to look, but I didn't find any good options. And of course, I do this for free, so if you like the video, please like it, subscribe, leave a comment. And yeah, maybe you'll like this video or think this video. Until next time.